Hey, all right, everybody. Good to see everybody. I wish I could be in a room with everybody. As you guys know, Zoom's a little tough here. My screen just got taken over by the message that we're recording this. So hang on, I gotta fix this real quick.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, well, while you're doing that, happy anniversary to Brian Yampolsky. He celebrated 30 years yesterday. He's in this webinar. Congratulations, Brian.
how many years did you say for Brian?
30, which is weird because he's only 21. I have no idea how he did it.
That's amazing. Yeah, we got to get some advice before tomorrow from Brian. So thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm excited to go over this with you today. For me as a business coach and somebody who's been helping build businesses for better part of 20 years, this is always the season for planning. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is something that I run into and have forever in markets that get a little weird. Obviously, I would put what's been happening these last 2 or 3 years in just one of the nuttiest business markets of all time for a lot of reasons. There's so many cross currents. Things are getting weird. Not necessarily bad, but just weird, hard to track, hard to plan on, things along those lines. And so when that happens, people have a tendency to get emotional. They tend to get driven out of fear, and they start making fear-based decisions in their business, and they start thinking about what they need to be doing different. And they start looking for the next shiny object, and they start just kind of freaking out a little bit sometimes when things change. And one of the things that I've driven people back to over and over and over again is the importance of you having a plan, and not only a plan that goes in a file drawer somewhere where you're like, hey, my business has a strategic plan, but an actionable strategic plan with a real thought out thinking process before the plan, with the team, and not only a plan, but one that you can trust. So there's two pieces to this that I wanted to hit on. From an emotional side, when business gets weird or when the markets get weird, if your business is heavily dependent upon the market, the only thing that you can trust is your plan. So that makes me realize, do you have a plan that you can trust? If you're freaking out a little bit, it means one of two things. Number one, you don't really have a strategic plan. And so when I say strategic plan, I mean strategic thinking. And that means you did some real thinking, not just wrote down your goals or your action steps, but real strategy into a plan. And then two, do you have a plan that you can trust? If you find yourself kind of freaking out at any point in business, go back and say, number one, do I have a strategic plan that's been strategically thought through? And number two, do I trust it? If you have a plan, but you're still freaking out, that tells me you don't trust it. And you need to either get some help, get the team together, go back and think it through. If you find yourself chasing different shiny objects and trying to go this way and that and trying to shift everything in your business because the market got weird, then that tells me maybe you don't have a plan you can trust, or maybe you need to vet it, or maybe you just need to trust it. So at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, we don't have a steady paycheck. And if you're anything like me, you've probably driven by McDonald's and thought, man, that looks like a great job, right? Because nobody calls you if the sesame seeds fall off the bun. But this, as an entrepreneur, is the only thing that you have that you can trust. Okay, so I wanted to walk you through some of the basics of this in the little bit of time we have. Hopefully just spur your thinking. And as this spurs your thinking, there's a little bit of a danger of me talking about this because this isn't what Driven Relationships does, and this is a Driven Relationship webinar. So we just want to let you know, if you are interested in having a strategic plan being built with you with a business coach, which is not, of course, your account executive here, just let us know and we can hook you up with that or talk to you about what that looks like. Or if you have a business plan, but you don't have a good marketing strategy or marketing plan, let us know about that too. We can get you with one of our marketing strategists. Again, that's a different thing than what your account executive does. That's somebody who builds marketing messages and plans and things along those lines. So as we jump in, I wanted to hit a couple of quick things. Number one is whatever you're building a business, you have to think of it this way. It's your job as a business owner to take an initiative, to go out in the world and love other people, to do something of value, and then let the world respond to you. When markets get a little weird, we start thinking about what we need to do to get people to buy from us, or we start thinking about the impact that other people are going to have on our business. What you have to think about is, what is the impact that I can have on the world around me? Every business is different, but you have to start with that mentality. How do I take the initiative in my business? One of the things, if you work with driven relationships for a while, is one of the main reasons it's been so powerful for so many of our clients is because you're always taking initiative. You're always putting yourself out there, which means you just have to respond to what comes back to you. This is very, very important strategically, to think about what you can give to the world. Now, the reason this is important, if you didn't catch our last webinar, is because people can copy your product, people can copy your service, but they can never copy a loyal relationship. So the goal in business is always to build the best relationship you can with the biggest and most valuable audience that you can find. It's really interesting. We've done a few different studies on different companies, and some of the bigger companies I've worked with, like Caesars Entertainment and things like that, where they have really strong, loyal relationships with their clients, or are always working on that. That's where these loyalty cards come from, things like that. Another one was CBC, the Home Shopping Network. One of the big things that they realized is that they needed to have personality selling this stuff so that people could build a relationship through the TV with somebody, because that's how they sold more. If you've ever watched a TV show, a series, maybe over a period of time, and you feel like the actors are your friends, this is why these shows work. So even if they're selling you a TV show, even if they're selling you some, gadget on CBC, what they're really selling you more than anything else is a relationship with that client base. Okay. So when we start thinking strategically about business plan, number one, can I bring value? Number two, how am I going to build a relationship that can last and bring loyalty beyond? So if we know that, this quickly begins to turn towards, what is the most important thing we can do in our entire company? And I don't care what company it is, you have to stay in front of your database. Every one of my clients, I will ask you, what's the most important thing you can do? Stay in front of your database. We covered that in the last webinar, but the reason is, of course, a 5% retention in loyal customer base turns into 100% to your bottom line. And the reason for that is it costs less to get them, it costs less to keep them, the sales cycle is longer, and they give you referrals. They are worth so much more than going out and trying to find a new client. Sadly, though, when the market gets weird, we start seeing everybody to start chasing their tails, trying to get to that new client, that person they've never met before. And you've been in business 10 years. You got 3,000 people you know. Each one of them knows 1,500 other people they could refer to you. That's like 450,000 people that you have access to through your own database. So the worst thing you could do is ignore that, because that's where you're going to have the biggest touch, the most power, and ultimately add the biggest profit to your bottom line. So when we start thinking about market message inside a strategic plan, we have to start asking ourselves, what am I going to say to everybody to get their money and to get their hearts and to get them to believe in what it is that I'm selling? And so I've told everybody forever, money and people follow vision, hearts and minds follow beliefs. If you don't have enough money coming into your business, or you can't attract the right people to come into your company and work, then I would question your vision first. Now, why am I talking about vision today? Because this is the very first part of any strategic plan. You have to know where you're going. And I don't mean in a general sense or some random goal. I'm talking about, you need to be able to describe to me exactly where you're going and exactly what that looks like in a way that inspires me. I always talk about it like this. If you were to pull up with a bus in front of me and say, hey, John, get on my bus, what's the first question I'm going to ask you, right? Where's this bus going? And if your answer is like, we might go right, we might go left, we're going to circle the parking lot for a while, then you better have a really cool party bus, because I'm not going to get on your bus if we're just going to circle the parking lot. Most people, most driven people, even customers, they want to know that you're going somewhere, and they will buy that vision, they will buy those beliefs often better than they'll buy anything else. So when we start talking about a strategic plan and start thinking about marketing and messaging, you have to start thinking about, what is your vision? How are you going to tell that story of that vision in a way that aligns with the beliefs of your target audience? Okay. From there, we start asking, okay, what is my message going to be? And how am I going to be different than the rest of the world? Why is being different more important than being better? Because you have to stand out. I'm always looking for differentiators. Most people don't have them, and it doesn't matter what it is. And when I say different, it doesn't mean that you're better. And it doesn't mean that you're doing anything faster or more efficient or that you offer better service or whatever you might come up with that's kind of cliche. You need to find things in your industry that are different. Some of the most successful people I've met, whether it's sales or business owner, are sometimes the most interesting people because they're different. They find ways to win in a market where nobody else is winning. So we have to start thinking, what's my vision? What's my plan? Do I trust it? How am I going to be different? What's my message going to be? Once we have these things in place, the next part that you want to do is want to systematize it. We talked about this a little bit in the past webinars. I'm going to go kind of high level here on this, but this is where driven relationships and the other people that you brought into your company to help you out become really important. We want to take everything that you're doing, your strategic plan, and we want to put it into a system so that we can reproduce it and so that we can have something that could be bigger, better, and more valuable down the road. If all your company is you, there's no systems, there's no other people there, you can never sell that company because you'd have to sell yourself, right? You make that company valuable. Once you add systems to it, now you have something that's bigger than you and something that adds value as a company if you were to ever sell it. I'm not saying you should sell it, but if you ever want to sell your company, that's what you need to do. So when we start thinking about systems, here are the systems that I always think about. Big picture when it comes to messaging. Number one, how do I create awareness that I even exist to a certain number of people? And it doesn't matter if you're doing social media, database, messaging, calling people, whatever it is. How am I going to generate awareness? How am I going to get out there in a way where people even know that I'm there? Secondly, once I have this bigger audience of awareness, how am I going to create engagement? And lastly, how am I going to convert? All of your systems should start creating a funnel. I'm going to start talking about these funnels more and more, where there's a big picture, engagement, and then conversion. Okay. So there's a tendency for us to think to focus on awareness because that's the biggest audience. But I'm going to show you here in a second why that's often the wrong thing to do, depending on your company. But I would say 90% of the companies that I've coached, you don't want to go after the big cold calling, cast a wide net kind of situation because you can make so much more money. Focus on the right people at the right time and spend less in order to get them and convert them faster. That's why relationships that bring loyalty are hands down the most important thing. So when we think about selling or growing a company, the first thing we have to think about is building a relationship. A lot of times we think about sales. Don't think about sales. Think about building a relationship. All right. Think about the last time you walked into Nordstrom, some store that you like, or maybe you're into motorcycles like me and you walk in there. If somebody attacks me, like they're trying to sell me something, I'm out, right? Don't even talk to me. But if you build a relationship with me, like the last guy who I bought 2 motorcycles from, I'm going to buy motorcycles from you, not because your motorcycle is different than the dealer down the street, but because you're different. I have a relationship with you, not with the motorcycle, right? Secondly, is we have to build a system. So once I start thinking, how am I going to build a relationship? How am I going to build a system to maintain that relationship and stay in front of it, right? The reality is, and my wife will attest to this, I'm one of the worst at maintaining relationships with people I've met in my life. And that's where a lot of these thoughts came from too, is wherever you're at in your business right now, let's say you got 1,000 people in your database, 3,000 people in your database. Without a system, how in the world are you going to build a meaningful relationship with that many people? I have a hard enough time doing it with my kids or my family or my friends, right? Let alone with 3,000 strangers. That's why you have to have the system, all right? Then get results. Right now, when markets get weird, we have a tendency to go straight to the results, right? Like, how do I get more results in my business? How do I sell more? How do I find people that are ready to buy right now, right? And we skip the building a relationship and we skip the system, and then we think we're going to get results. Don't fall into that trap, because even though it feels a little bit better, like it's going to work, trust me, all you're doing is making yourself feel emotionally better by being busy on the stuff that's really not as effective and often costs a lot more money. All right. So when we start thinking about this, if I gave you a little step-by-step here, number one, who is your target in your strategic plan? You need to know who you're going after and get as specific as you can. Create an avatar, right? We're going after 30-year-old stay-at-home moms that have 2.5 kids and shop at Nordstrom's and live in this area. And this is what they believe. This is what they think. This is what they wear. Build your avatar of who your target is. Now, the biggest thing I get pushback on this when I'm coaching companies is they say, well, doesn't that limit our messaging? And absolutely not. And every market research in the world says the better your target is, the better your message is, therefore the more you're going to sell. It's just that simple. Picking the wrong target for your wrong message, for your wrong audience, or going too big will kill everything else in your strategic plan. So you have to decide who is your target. Now, I won't go into this today. We could do a whole workshop just on target, but here are the things you want to think about. Who has the biggest pain, the biggest need for what you sell, right? How many people are there? So you think about volume. Are there a lot of these type of people out there, right? So who needs me? Is there a lot of them? And how much money do they have to spend? If you wanted to add one more category, you would say, do I like working with them? But when we do a target analysis, those are the 4 areas. Who has a need for what we're doing the most? So we're talking about biggest need, the biggest group of people, right? The most amount of money to spend on what it is you offer, and do I like working with them? Once you do those 4 things and you run it through an analysis, you're going to come up with a pretty good target. And if you need a little help doing that, like I said, we can help you get a session or 2 to help you walk through this. From there, you want to get into your message. And I won't go into messaging today because it's just too big of a topic. But the main idea is this: when I have a message to my target, you're asking yourself all the time, what can I give to my target? Can I give them a little bit of something for free? Give them a little taste of it, get them excited about something that we're doing. This is how almost everything is sold in today's world. Get me excited about it. Show me a little bit about what you can do. And then from there, see what we can sell, right? Now, when we automate the giving process, one of the biggest things that businesses mistake or don't do is they don't create usable categories. I'm going to go over this here in just a second, but we want to take all of your data and we break it up into targets, messages, and then entire messaging strategies and plans that are systematized that go out to each person. As your account executives probably told you, if you're with Driven, is that we need to touch each area of your database specifically and personally in a way that builds a meaningful relationship 18 to 24 times a year. You can always do more, but we have to get at least 18. Otherwise, all the data shows they'll forget that you even exist. All right. Once we have that set up and you're organized and you got a team on it, we're systematized, we got to get it in your calendar. And then we got to stay in front of them, like I said, 18 times a year. The better you give of yourself to the right people, meaning your target that you've strategically thought through, the more money you will make. Okay. It's that simple. If you try and figure out how to make more money, this is where you start, right? We got to go back to a plan and then say, can I trust this plan and this message? I tell my clients all the time, your wealth is going to be determined by how many people you give to and how well you serve those people. So what we're trying to do at Driven is create one piece of your system, one piece of this foundational system that gets you in front of as many people as possible and serves them as well as possible all the time, consistently, over and over, in a way that really, really works. Okay. So I wanted to hit on this swarm piece real quick. A lot of people have different ways of doing this, but this is the one that I teach. This is the one that I've created. This is the one that's worked the best. This is the one that I use. Okay. So I think about it this way. The biggest group of people are suspects, people that fit your target market in terms of money or volume or area or however you define your target. This is your biggest audience. Me as a business coach, I might define companies that are doing over $10 million a year in business, that are within 100 miles of the Phoenix area, things along those lines. Let's say that's my message. Then I would get my target. Then I would get a list of those people and I would get as much contact information as I could. And let's say there's 1,000 of them. That list of 1,000 becomes my suspect list. Okay. Once I have my suspects, I want to start moving all of those suspects that I don't know. They're in the cold category. They're the biggest group. And I want to start warming them up to me. Right. So I might start sending them stuff. I might start calling. I might start doing webinars, drop-bys, whatever. I have to find a way to start warming those suspects. As these suspects start to show some interest where they won't hang up on me, they start to warm up to me on some level, that's going to be a smaller group. So let's say my 1,000 list of group turns into 500 warm people. From there, I'm trying to get those warm people to align with what I'm doing and what I'm selling. From there, I want to get them to realize that they need me. And from there, they're going to use me. So the goal here is to move everybody that you meet that's in your target audience through this funnel down, right? So if you're doing networking events or you're doing communication or you're doing social media, this is always your goal. Get names and contact information from suspects to warming, from warming to aligning, from aligning to realizing that they need you, and from realizing they need you to match. As they move through your funnel, they need to be moving into separate parts of your categories in your data and get separate messaging. As you move through this funnel, people are going to warm up to you and they're going to get to know you better and better. Therefore, your communication needs to change. It needs to get more personal because the people at the bottom of this are your most valuable. Now, earlier I said that a lot of people make the mistake of going after just big time awareness. What's the biggest audience I can go after? Well, what that means that you think that your suspects list of 1,000 cold names is more valuable than the people that have already trusted you and like you to do what it is you do for a business. All right. Now, common sense will tell you that the people that have already liked you and used you is hands down your most valuable group of people. That could be centers of influence. That could be friends. That could be people that have bought from you in the past. Okay. So once we know that, your goal, if you have a sales team in your company, is to work this funnel in reverse. So we're going to start by working with our past clients and existing clients. Then I'm going to call and reach out to my realizing people. Then I'm going to reach out to my aligning, then my warming. And if I have to, I get to suspects. A lot of times in a company, if you're a brand new company or we're a startup, we go really big with the suspects, right? Because that's our only audience. But 2 years into that, 3 years into that, we're never calling our cold calling suspects again. We're only working inside our world and our own database. All right. So for example, with suspects, I might invite everybody to a happy hour, right? Just to get everybody in one spot, if depending on what it is you do for a living, right? But I might invite all my matched people to a Cardinals game, where we have we're in a box and we get to watch the game from the box. Now, I'm not going to go out to 1,000 people and invite them to my Cardinals box, but the people that can refer people to me, the people that already know me and like me and trust me, the people that are going to want to owe me and do something in return for me, those are my most valuable people. Like I said before, the biggest mistake that people make in business a lot of times is missing this fact. And they spend all of their time chasing suspects, thinking that the time frame is more important than the picture. We know that when it comes down to selling something, timing is important, but guess whose timing it is? It's not your timing, it's your client's timing, right? So to go out in the world and try and find perfect timing with a bunch of strangers, good luck, right? If you do find something that works in that regard, it's very low working and it's very expensive. You're much better staying in front of a large group of people that already know you, like you, and trust you. And when their timing hits, they call you. Like I said before, most people in America today, very connected world, have between 1,000 and 1,500 people a year that they can refer to your business. Okay, so think about that for a second. If you bring 10 people to your Cardinals box and they each know 1,000 people, that gives you access to 10,000 possible leads and referrals if those people care enough to send them to you. Do you think that's more important, or would you rather be cold calling 10,000 people every day trying to make that work? Right? So as you build your data, as you build out your messaging, go through each of your categories. It doesn't matter if you use gold, silver, bronze, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. This is just how I do it. But get them organized and then build out your 18 to 24 touches in each one of these areas. Okay. I wish I could see your faces so I could know if I'm connecting or not, but hopefully you guys are with me here. All right. So when we start doing this, once you have that kind of messaging built and you're thinking about this strategically and what is my target, my data is organized, then we get into a bigger picture of your business plan in general. Okay. And when I think about a business plan, the companies I found that have been the most successful can somehow tie what they're doing into what they believe they're on this planet to do. And you might be on this planet to make money, take care of your kids. Nothing wrong with that either. It doesn't have to be this existential reason. It can just be doing something that matters and building a business and making money. Okay. Do you get to do what you choose? And if you do, then what are you going to choose? The reason for that is there's only a few things in almost any business that really matter. When I come into a business as a coach, I'm always looking for those things. I know there's 2 or 3 things here that are really going to matter. And I know there's 1, 2, 3 or three things that are holding everybody back and holding your business back. One of the best strategic questions you can ask yourself when you think about building a vision is to ask yourself, what are the few things that are really going to matter? And what are the few things that are holding me back? All right. So you'll hear me say this all the time. You can do anything you want in this world, but you can't do everything. So start picking wisely about what it is you want to do and how you can make it accomplished. Okay. I love this quote by Mary Oliver. She said, "Tell me what it is you plan to do with your one wild and precious life." There's something about reading that quote that says, you know what? This is short. This whole thing we got, it's short. Time to make money, time to live a life that you enjoy, time to spend time with those people you love. It's short. So does your plan matter? Absolutely. I think business is the coolest thing you can do and the best investment ever. And I think most businesses should be built to run without you and do something that you love and enjoy. All right. So to do that, we have to start dreaming. We have to start thinking about what goals we're going to have and how we're going to take a dream and turn it into something reality. To do this, well, actually, I'm not going to go into it because I just realized how fast today's time is going here. I may have conquered too much here. But start with your business vision. All right. What is the vision of your company? And it should tie into your personal vision. All right. And that's the dream. How much money do you need to make? And what does your business need to look like in order to accomplish the life that you want? Don't let your business guide your life. Rather, let your life guide the business vision, with the idea that we can turn a business into anything. Okay. From there, you want to look at this and say, and I'd encourage you to draw this and just remind yourself of this. Your vision needs the strategy. What's your big goal and how do you intend on achieving it? This is where you're going to get help, professionals or otherwise, or people that know your industry. Get ahead and really do the thinking on this. So later when the market gets tough, you trust it. All right. Then we need people that are going to keep your business vision together, and we're going to need systems. Okay. So in general, here's a strategic plan. Vision of a company, systems, people, strategy. If your people fail you, your vision is going to fall right off the top, right? Because that triangle is going to tilt. If your systems fail you, it's going to fall to the right. Your business vision is never going to happen. So you have to start thinking, who are the people I need? What are my systems? How am I going to do it with my strategy to accomplish my vision? Once you have that, it comes down into creating clear, measurable, excitable, believable things that you're going to accomplish. I always like to say, what are you going to do in 2023? That's this time of year, right? We've got a couple months left before the end of the year. As unbelievable as that is, how are we going to accomplish as much as we can in 2023? It starts with having a vision for 2023, and that should come from a business vision of, say, 2025, which should come from a life that you want of 2026 or further out. All right. From there, we need to take those and turn into big categories of things. Some examples of categories would be this: marketing, leadership, culture, systems. How am I going to build better partner relations, education? Any of those could be ways of taking your business vision and breaking it into categories, buckets that you can put goals into. All right. From there, we want to turn it into 90 days of action. I'm a stickler on 90 days with anybody I work with. There's a lot of research that says human beings really cannot take action or think much out beyond 90 days in an accountable way. So 90 days is far out as I want anybody to go. Take those categories and build 90 days of action. And then, of course, you're going to take that and you're going to put it into your calendar. Okay. So it would look like this. I have a category in my business where I need to grow. In order to grow, here are my goals that I need to accomplish in, say, 90 days. I need to develop my market message, get my database into usable categories, making meaningful contact with each of my partners 9 times, making meaningful contact to all of my database twice, attend 4 networking functions, host 1 happy hour, 1 blood drive, and attend 2 home tours, for example. Those could be the action that comes out of your big rock category of growth, that comes out of your 1-year vision, that comes out of your business vision, that comes out of your personal dreams. Okay. So if you saw my very first slide, and if you've read my book, Driven Leadership, Fail-Safe Business Leadership, this is how you win. It's literally impossible to lose doing this, assuming you have a strategy and a business that makes sense. All right. So get your strategy, get your message, put your action in place. You literally cannot lose. All right. You just got to wake up every day and make sure that you're doing it, or hire people to do. From there, you need to set up your cadence meetings. In other words, meetings that are going to show up on a regular cadence for the expressed purpose of doing nothing other than checking in on that strategic plan. If your strategic plan goes into, some folder somewhere, nobody ever looks at it again, it's useless. Don't even bother doing any of it. But once you pull it out, get your team together once a month, once a quarter at the least. Sometimes companies will do it every 2 weeks. You pull out that strategic plan, you check in on where you're at in the next 90 days and how that relates to your 1-year calendar. It's how you win, okay? That action goes into your calendar. From there, it needs to be measured, which is why we do the cadence meetings and follow up from there, okay? So here's a couple of options for you. I'm hoping that a lot of you already have a strategic plan. If your strategic plan needs to be adjusted because the market adjust it until the point that you could tell me, if I were to ask you, do you trust your plan? Because if you trust your plan, you shouldn't be freaking out, right? If you're freaking out, then you have to say, do I trust my plan? Some of you may not even have a plan. Get some help on that. Hire somebody to help you. There's a lot of great coaches out there. Maybe some of you have them. Maybe you have a teammate or somebody that you can talk to help you do that. Get your accountability call in. So once your plan is built, what are you doing in these 90 days? Who's holding you accountable? Whether that's a coach, a peer, a team, find people to pull out that plan with and do your cadence meetings so that it happens. Join this live event every month, or find other stuff where you can go and learn to stay fresh. But don't freak out and chase the next shiny thing just because you heard it. You always have to trust your plan. If you don't trust your plan, go back and fix your plan so you trust it. Of course, you get Driven Relationships app and team doing it for you. And that's what I got for you guys today. I apologize. I know I blew through that pretty fast. Probably gave myself a little too much content for the time that we had. But hopefully you're able to take some notes, think about that a little bit. I know that they're going to be recording this and send it out to you so you can go over it again and just double check your business. I can't stress enough, if you're an entrepreneur, you can't trust the market. You don't have a boss to send you a check. The only thing that you have is your ability to trust your own plan. So make sure your plan is solid. All right. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Kelly.
All right. Thanks, John. Thank you so much. I hope you all were able to take some notes. I did, which is funny because I live with him and hear from him all the time, and yet I'm still taking notes. I'm going to pass the baton to Abby. Abby's going to share a little bit with us and then do a little interview, a quick interview, and then I'm going to give away a few things at the end of this call. So we're probably like 5 to 10 more minutes and we will be wrapping up. So stick around for the giveaway.
All right. Thanks, Kelly. Okay, I have the privilege of interviewing one of my clients today on this call, Lisa Fabiano. I just want to check, Lisa, are you unmuted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. I'm in the car, so if it sounds like I'm in a tunnel, I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I'm going to give a brief introduction to Lisa here for everybody that does not know her. So Lisa Fabiano is the owner and broker of Remax Leading Edge, the Fabiano Group in Kenosha, Wisconsin. She's been in business for 18 years. She's a top 1% agent. She was the #1 agent in Wisconsin in 2019. She is a top 1,000 agent in the country. She recently married Greg Romano, who, fun fact, just got inducted into the Ball State University Hall of Fame for men's volleyball, which we're very proud. We're very, very proud. She has a high school age daughter named Talia. And another fun fact, her mother, Maria, an Italian immigrant, has owned a dressmaking and tailoring shop in Kenosha since 1965. So some fun facts there about Lisa. Okay, Lisa,
Thank you.
couple questions for
Okay.
you. Just wanted to
Sure.
start. You shared with me some recent successes that you have had. One of those being kind of a surprise client, another one related to HomeBot, which is a value add for realtors and loan officers. You have a recruitment success story. So could you share with us some of those successes that you are experiencing and how they have shifted your perspective on the value and the importance of staying in front of your database?
Yeah, for sure. So, for the longest time, I've been calling my past clients, which, takes a lot of time, 3 hours sometimes per day. I still do that, but having Driven has added, an additional component that has made it a lot easier to stay in touch with them. So I had this one client that I helped look at houses about 10 years ago, never sold her a house, but I had her in my database, had her in my contacts from my phone. And when I started with Driven, I just sent everything to you. And so she was in there and I tagged her as a client. However, I never sold her a house. So she reached out to me like 3 weeks ago and she was like, hi, you sold my house. And she's like, and now I want to move to Florida. So can we set up a time? And it was a direct result. It was a direct result from one of the texts that you had set up for, following up. So I'm like, sure, what's it, and I set up the appointment. And then when I met with her, I'm like, well, actually, Michelle, I didn't actually sell you this house, but I did help you. And so we kind of just laughed and chuckled about it, but it's under contract and it's closing next week. So that was like, I was like, oh my God, Abby, it does work. So I was like super excited, because I hadn't even sold her a house. So I got a listing out of that. And then a past client a couple weeks ago asked me to come out. They're moving up north, which up north is like 4 or 5 hours north of where I am. And she's like, I just love that home bot. Like I love the graphs. I love all the information that you sent me. And it like also sparked her to call me to set up an appointment, which, it's a $400,000 house in my market. That's kind of on the higher end. So I took that listing. It hasn't been listed yet because she hasn't found anything up north yet, but I will sell it once, they do find something. So that was like another added feature that I was like, oh my God. So of course I told Abby that one. And then what really has helped me, excuse me, you're gonna hit that car. Sorry, my daughter is driving. So the last thing that I've really seen in the last week or two, I'm expanding my team. And so I sent Abby a whole like Excel spreadsheet of the agents that I wanted to contact. And I've set 7 appointments in the last week. I mean, they've just responded like crazy. And that would have taken me hours to go through and then call them, send them a text. And it's just been pretty full. I mean, that was pretty amazing that I set 7 interviews in a week. So it's been very helpful. I know in the beginning I teased Abby because I was like, I know I have to be patient, but when is this going to work? So I do say, be patient. It does work. It's just, and the other thing too, Abby, I don't know if you wanted to talk about how I'm using the trigger campaigns to stay like ahead of the contingencies within the transaction. And that's been really helpful too. So when I get a listing, they'll get a text saying, thank you so much for listing with me. When their offer gets accepted, it's just kind of like another touch, even though I'm still talking to them and calling them, it's kind of like a follow-up plan. So that's been really helpful too. So I'm super happy with everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah. So Lisa, one of the things that Driven has helped Lisa with is the transaction process. So we've built out these pipelines for her that allows her to go above and beyond in communicating with her clients throughout the sale side and the buy side. And she is one of our power users of those things. So super excited that you've had all those successes. I want to wrap up with one final question. Being from Wisconsin, who has the best Kringle?
Oh, Benson's Bakery, which we'll be sending those out again this year, but a little bit more different this time. Yeah, Benson's Bakery, they do everything by hand. So I'll definitely send you guys some.
Okay. Well, Kelly, I think we should add that to some of our giveaways after
I
this.
like it.
What's a Kringle? I want to know what a Kringle is.
It's amazing.
Oh,
It's on the
Kringle.
Trader Joe's
Yeah.
this time of year.
It's like, it's like a Danish, but it's like in a big round, like oval circle. And it's a common thing here in Racine County. It's a lot of Danish people, immigrants came. So it's pretty big here. You drink it like with your coffee in the morning. So yeah.
Okay. Lisa, thanks so much for sharing. Appreciate it.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Abby.
Yep. Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I dropped my phone number in the chat. I would love for you to text the word driven to that phone number, and then we will put you in a drawing. What I think I want to do is, we love all of you so much, and you work with an account executive here at Driven. If you're an account executive, can you wave your hand if you have your screen on? I don't think everyone is here. We're missing a few. But what I want to have happen is text Driven to me if you want a t-shirt. Oh, the t-shirts are here. I'm wearing it. Can you see it? Isn't that amazing? I also have a tank top. So text Driven to that phone number. Each of the account executives will randomly choose a winner, and we will let you know if you won, and we will send you a Driven t-shirt. And we'll do send in your size too. It's not like I'm at the NBA game chucking it into the crowd as a double XL. This one will fit you, I promise. All right, thank you all for being here today. Please reach out to, if you don't have a coach and you need someone to look at your strategic plan. And we can, if there's enough interest, we could possibly put like a small class together for that. So just reach out to us if you are struggling with your strategic plan. Have a great day, my friends. Always good to see your faces. Kim Taylor, so good to see you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.